Hello, my name is Nikki LaBonte. I am the Associate Principal Horn of the RPO, and welcome to the Living Room Series concerts. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here with me. I know that it has been an emotionally trying week, so I am really glad that you're here. I want to say feel free to offer comments and ask questions under this video, and I will be responding to them live in between pieces. No question is too big or too small. By now, you might have noticed that I'm not actually in my living room. This is not where I live, although I sort of wish I did. I am being graciously hosted this afternoon by the First United Methodist Church of Fort Worth, and they are also streaming this concert on their Facebook page, so hello to those folks over there. You all can also ask questions, and I will be answering those as well. I am currently finishing up a season with the Fort Worth Symphony, and I live just across the street from the First United Methodist Church of Fort Worth. So their organist, Peggy Graff, and I have collaborated a few times, and I am really, really grateful to have her performing with me on this program. The piece that we just performed was the Concert Rondo by a composer that you might have heard of, Mozart. And the edition that I performed is by Marie Rolfe, who is the Dean of Graduate Studies at the Eastman School of Music, which is my alma mater and a Rochester favorite. This piece, interestingly, has been a part of the standard horn repertoire for a long time, but in 1991, 4 new pages of manuscript were discovered in Mozart's handwriting. Those missing pages had gone undetected for centuries because the chord structure of the music had actually fit together in a sort of clunky way, but it worked. Dr. Rolfe found those pages, transcribed them, and published a new edition with the complete score the way that Mozart had intended. And Peter Kurau, principal horn of the RPO and my teacher, actually premiered the new edition of that piece. Next, I'm going to be performing the Minuets and Gigue from Bach's First Cello Suite, arranged for horn by Wendell Haas. You might be experiencing a bit of cognitive dissonance in that this is in fact not a cello. Good observation, well done. These suites were transcribed by Wendell Haas, who was a legendary horn player and teacher, a founding member of the International Horn Society, and keeping the Rochester theme going, was also principal horn of the RPO and the first horn professor at the Eastman School of Music. The horn, as we know it, didn't exist in Bach's time, so we have very few pieces of Baroque solo literature. These transcriptions give us the opportunity to play a style that we don't often get to tackle. These movements are Baroque dances, and so my goal in performing these is to capture the dance feel of each piece by highlighting rhythmic accents, creating a sense of leaning into the downbeat. This is always an ongoing process, and I really love getting to spend time working on this music because Bach leaves the musical ideas up to the performer. Despite the fact that this music is centuries old, my interpretation and performance is constantly evolving depending on the year, month, day, even minute. It's not just living room series music, it's living music. Oh, those are really fun. I just love getting to play them. And in a rough transition, speaking of someone else who loves Bach, the next piece is a melody for horn by Charles Gounod. Gounod was a French composer in the 1800s who studied with Felix Mendelssohn. And before Mendelssohn, Bach was a relatively unknown composer who had lived and died with a degree of anonymity. Yet, Mendelssohn helped establish Bach as one of the all-time greats of classical music. Gounod, of course, held Bach in a similarly high regard and is quoted as saying, "Bach is the musical father of the church, and our business is to prove ourselves loyal to him." Gounod's song output, though, was perhaps his most influential contribution to French composition, and he is hailed by another famous French composer, Maurice Ravel, as the true founder of the mélodie in France. The melody I'm about to perform is an example of that style, beautiful and lyrical, but simple and profoundly effective. Pay attention to the way he uses chromaticism to create simple points of tension and release within phrases. Without further ado, Here's the melody by Gounod, with Peggy Graff again collaborating with me on piano. Thank you again for tuning in. This is the RPO Living Room Series concert. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Nikki LaBonte. I am the Associate Principal Horn of the RPO, and I am joined by Peggy Graff, the organist of the First United Methodist Church of Fort Worth, where we are currently performing. I would like to take a quick minute to see if there are any questions from the live stream audience.
How old were you when you started playing horn?
How old was I when I started playing horn? I started playing horn at 9 years old. My mom put me in the band to make friends, and I made some of those, but then I decided that I wanted to be a musician, and my mom was like, wait a second, I don't know that I bargained for this, but I started when I was 9 in the 4th grade. Mr. Estes, if you're watching, hey, how's it going?
How many years of training and experience do you need to get as good as you?
How many years of training and experience do you need to get? Well, I guess if I started when I was 9, this is year 16, and I think I have many more to go. So Amanda, I will let you know when I get there how many years it takes. Just hold your breath. What non-classical music genres of music inspire me? That is a great question. I have been listening to a lot of jazz lately, kind of getting more of my feet wet, I guess. And you know, at the end of the day, I am a basic person, and I love Beyonce and Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande, just like everyone else. I hate to admit it. I try to be sophisticated, but I really do love it. So I'll take one more. And just kidding, there are none. So for the next piece is the Romance for Horn, Opus 36 by Camille Saint-Saëns. Saint-Saëns is another French composer in the Romantic period, primarily known for orchestral works like Carnival of the Animals, Dance Macabre, and Organ Symphony, to name a few that you might know. However, his compositional output was massive, and it includes 5 symphonies, 5 piano concerti, a wide breadth of chamber music, solo music for organ, and even several operas. Although I have to admit, I just actually watched a performance of his opera Samson and Delilah, and I thought it was a bit of a clunker. But this piece is not a clunker. Similarly to the Gounod that I played earlier, it's a lovely, simple melody, originally written for horn, although cellists might be familiar with this piece as well. Instead of the usual pattern, though, of us stealing repertoire from them, as with the Bach suite I played earlier, this is a rare case where they have stolen our repertoire. Again, the amazing Peggy Graff on piano for Saint-Saëns Romance, Opus 36. All right. Thanks so much. I wanted to take one last question break to see if there are any questions.
Where'd you go to school?
Where did I go to school? I went to all of my pre-collegiate schooling in Florida, around the West Palm Beach area, Palm Beach Gardens. And then I did my undergraduate degree at the Eastman School of Music, studying with Peter Choral, who's principal horn of the RPO. And actually, to be honest, I am in the middle of my master's degree at Eastman, so I guess I gotta start studying again. What do I do with my right hand? Keep my fingers crossed that I don't miss any notes. No, I'm kidding. You guys gotta laugh louder at my jokes. I can't hear you all the way in Texas. So the right hand, you'll notice in the bell. Oh, I see the camera. Great. So I actually have my right hand here, kind of like this is what it normally looks like. It's just in a sort of neutral position. What it does is it sort of rounds out the sound. You'll notice that the bell of the horn is not pointed forward like a lot of the other brass instruments. And so the hand kind of helps to take the edge off in addition to pointing backwards. The hand can also be used to create a stopped horn effect, which, well, let me just demonstrate it. Just give me a second here. So it kind of has that metallic sound, and you'll hear that as an effect, as a performance tool that a lot of composers will use. Yeah, that's what the right hand's doing. Awesome. Thank you all again for joining me. I know that these have been really challenging times for all of us, and without minimizing what is going on, getting a chance to perform live music again with such an excellent musician has been an emotionally cathartic experience for me this week. More importantly, I hope it's been a chance for you to connect with the music, connect with me, and connect with the community of those watching. I want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of this series, which is M&T Bank and Rochester Regional Health. Thank you so much. As you know, the RPO has been away from Kodak Hall for a few months now. And during these challenging times, we so appreciate your support. Whether it's simply tuning into these concerts, sharing our posts, or giving a small donation, if you are moved by the music tonight, please visit rpo.org/donate to find out more and keep the music alive until we can return to our beloved hall. Make sure also you tune in next week to the RPO's Living Room Series concerts to hear bassist Jeff Campbell. Additionally, I would like to thank the extreme generosity of everyone at the First United Methodist Church of Fort Worth for streaming this concert, providing me access to this amazing, beautiful space, and a very special thanks again to Peggy Graff for lending her amazing ability on piano today. The last piece is a little bit different than anything else I've played. It's a familiar pop tune. For the person who asked earlier, this is also one of my non-classical inspirations. This is Blackbird by the Beatles, which is my favorite Beatles tune. However, this particular transcription of Blackbird is based on a version performed by Bobby McFerrin in a 1984 album called The Voice. This album is incredible. It's on Spotify, and since this is the last piece on my program, you should immediately listen to it after I'm done with the piece. This album is live, and it was released when electronic effects were becoming common in pop music. But in McFerrin's album, all the sound is made with his voice, just a little bit of body percussion. McFerrin has an incredible range, insanely acrobatic voice, and he effectively mimics a variety of instruments. And on this tune in particular, he actually sings while inhaling. As a result, McFerrin breaks up the original chordal structure and the melody of the Beatles. He outlines the chords of the piece while interspersing these melodic fragments. I know it really sounds complicated, but it's super cool. And if you know the tune, it'll be easy to follow along. And if you don't know the tune, you should definitely go back to Spotify and check that one out too. When performances were first canceled, my friend Katie Hickey posted a transcription she did of this version of the Beatles piece for solo trombone, and I took a look, gave the album a listen, and decided that I needed to play this piece. I asked if she would be willing to transpose it for horn, and so I guess this is the official world premiere. Thank you again for tuning in and for all your questions. And I really hope you enjoy this performance of Blackbird.